evening. I'm going to call the January 27th, 2020 meeting to order. We're going to stand for Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence for former Commissioner Bill Hager. So if everybody would please stand for the pledge. Quinn.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Auditor.
Mr. Garner?
Here.
Mr. Mollenauer?
Here.
Mr. Novak?
Here.
Mr. Quinn?
Present.
Mr. Rosenbaum?
Present.
Mr. Santana?
Present.
And Mr. Yagelski?
Present.
A quorum is present.
Thank you. This time I'm going to turn the meeting over to the auditor for the election nomination for president. I'll let you say.
I will now open the floor for... Sure.
Guys, we have, because we tabled this, we don't have does this have to be? It was adjourned. As we sit here right now, you either vote on what we've had, or somebody would need, if they want to nominate somebody else, that you would need to have a motion.
Mike?
You would need to have a motion to open up nominations again.
Right now the two are still...
Right now the two are still nominated, and that's on the floor because it was adjourned.
What's your pleasure?
Let's vote.
Okay, would you... So the two names on the floor are Mr. Santana, Jeff Santana, and Mr. Mollenauer, Mike Mollenauer. Okay? Mm-hmm. All right, so I will call the roll. Just a second. Mr. Mollenauer?
Mike Mollenauer.
Mr. Yagelski?
Jeff Santana.
Mr. Santana?
Santana.
Mr. Quinn?
Mike Mollenauer.
Mr. Novak?
Santana.
And Mr. Rosenbaum.
Mr. Mollenauer.
So we still have a tie.
Can I make a new motion?
The motion, if the motion would be, if you are going to try to nominate somebody else, the first motion would have to be to reopen nominations. That would have to be voted on, and then a nomination can be made.
I'd like to reopen nominations, please. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
Do I hear nominations from the floor?
Yes, I would like to make a nomination. I'm going to try to take the high road here. I nominate Randy Novak for president.
I'll second that.
Do I hear any other nominations? Any other nominations? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Novak.
All right, Randall.
Welcome back. I just want to point out too, for the public, Councilman Gardner's on vacation. He has vacation every year. He's here. He cannot vote in his position because he can't. No, I'm not saying his position where he's at physically. Where he's at. Can you hear me, Terry?
Yeah, I can hear you, Randy.
But he can't vote, but he wanted to participate in the meeting. So he's not allowed to vote because he's not physically here. So I just want everybody to understand that. So, okay. And we're not responsible for anything that happens on that screen. So just...
All right.
Not doing anything. All right. Next item on the agenda would be the approval of the agenda. We've got...
President?
Yes, Mr. Yagelski.
To make a motion that under old business number 1, LaPorte County Engineer to be taken off the agenda.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to remove item number 1 under old business. I think everybody understands why we're going to try and have a workshop on that one.
We see that. Move the other one aside.
Then the other thing that we need to add is the 2 appointments to the FMEC need to be reappointed by this board. That's currently myself and Terry Gardner serve in that position, but they're all coming due. So it was brought to our attention that we need to be reappointed to that. So we need to add that under new business item number 4, if it's okay with everybody. FMEC, new business.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Right. And then also the number 5 under new business would be the clerk. Ask for permission to hire for clerk and superior 4 that retired. Is there anything else? Is everybody okay with those? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The next item is approval of the minutes from November 25th, 2019 meeting. What's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Rosenbaum, second by Mr. Quinn to approve the November 25th meeting minutes.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Next item is approval of the December 3rd, 2019 special meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve
Second.
the minutes.
Motion by Rosenbaum, seconded by Mr. Moldenauer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Next item is approval of the January 2nd, 2020 reorganizational meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes as well.
Motion by Mr. Rosenbaum,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Quinn. Is there any questions on those minutes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Next item on the agenda, public comment. Public comment is now open. Anybody from the public would like to speak? Anybody from the public would like to speak? Change our... Anybody from the public would like to speak? Public comment is now closed. Department head reports. How you doing?
Yeah, there you guys.
Good.
Rick Brown, MS4. It's been a while since I've been up here talking with you gentlemen. I have talked with Mr. Quinn a couple months ago. I just want to give a real fast update with our outreach program that we've been doing for the last 5.5 months. If you hit YouTube and type in LaPorte County MS4, you will see a series of outreach videos. We've made 10. We got 3 more coming out. We kind of mix them with the holidays as well, and I just wanted you guys to know that as of this morning, we are at 168,000 hits.
Wow.
So we're getting quite a bit of outreach, and we are also sending them to Randy Braun, number 1 at IDEM, and Stacy Goodwin, number 2 at IDEM. I just thought I'd give the board a fast update. Watch them. They're funny. They're funny, and they're educational. We're getting a lot of good comments back. Oh, this is what MS4 does, huh? And that's really why we're doing it, so people know. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the update. Any other department heads? Good evening.
How are you? Steve Irick, Adult Probation. I wanted to give you a quick update on Criminal Rule 26. As you all know, that went into effect January 1st. And up to date, we've interviewed 58 people in custody. 44 have been released to us. And to date, our 3 people have been going into the jail every morning, interviewing, putting the reports together, getting them to the court, being in court, and we haven't interviewed people who have been bonded out of jail yet, but that's starting now. So that's going to add volume and strain on the workload, I guess, as the staffing exists. But we'll see where that heads. We have 1 support staff person who's part-time. She is not there before 9 and after 3, which is also getting to be a little challenging because people are coming in after they're getting released from jail. And we have to figure out how to work around that. But I'm going to hand this out to you all. I ran an analysis, well, actually just an Excel spreadsheet of jail numbers since January 1st.
Thank you.
And, yes, sir. I could hold one up, Terry, if that probably doesn't help.
The camera's pointing this way. He can't
Oh,
see.
he can't even see me.
There
I'm
we go,
sorry.
Terry. I know you can read that without glasses.
You'll notice that there's a significant jail drop, like January 7th and 8th. That's the day that 20 inmates were transferred to the Department of Correction. But you can see that it's kind of bounced around, and now there's a downward slope. So as you can see, as of this morning, we had 346 in custody. There's a line right across here called 368. That's the threshold. That's the maximum capacity at the jail. So we've dipped below that. I don't know if Criminal Rule 26 is solely responsible. I'm sure it had an impact or part of the reason why it's dropped. But, and of course, it is a little early to start analyzing numbers, but I wanted to get something in front of you to let you know where things stand. It started out with 385 on January 2nd when we started interviewing people, and now we're down to 346. We are not screening people who have warrants, who are on probation, who are on parole, community corrections, or who have FTAs where they haven't appeared in the past. And of course, obviously, people who are being held for other jurisdictions, we're not seeing those people. So we're interviewing the people who are there on new arrests and are not going to be hung up on a revocation status with local authorities. So, there you go. Yes, sir.
Mr. Yagowski. I'll run that.
Oh, you'll run it?
I'll run it.
All right.
We voted it in.
Go right ahead. All
I don't
right.
know if you've seen that a minute.
I missed that.
You got retained.
I know it's very difficult, but it's really hard to still go with other 58 people who would not have been out anyway, right? So this is way too early to come to any type of conclusion.
Absolutely.
So a person that gets like a DUI and gets out the next day, they're not including this,
Not yet, but they're going to start to be.
but they would have been out anyway.
If a person's arrested for DUI and they post a cash bond, we are not seeing them yet.
That's my point.
But that's going to start.
But they would be out anyway. They're not. This rule is not effective.
Correct.
So I'm just trying to get the right numbers that we're in. So
Sure.
we have to be careful. We're not going to cloud.
yeah.
We're not going to cloud over anything that's on it.
Right.
Okay.
And then in conjunction with that, community corrections got a lot. They're doing a lot more this year than they were last year.
Right.
So the numbers they gave us this morning, they're almost twice as many as they had the year before. So they really kind of stepped that up. So there's a lot of things working, and that's what we want. So
Exactly.
in the right direction.
Mr. Yagowski, if the numbers went up, I probably wouldn't have brought this to you.
Well, I held it this way.
Yeah.
The sheriff does send us a
It's daily.
number every day. So.
I've given him a copy already, and
Mr. Rosenbaum?
I'm looking for a clarification when you said those that could bond out, that you're going to start seeing them. So that'll obviously take place. They have to be interviewed before they can be bonded out.
no, the people who they have an option to post a cash bond.
Okay.
So if somebody's arrested on a Thursday night, they can post cash bond as soon as they're eligible.
Mm-hmm.
Those people would be released on that bond and would report to us the next day. And at that point, we'd schedule a time for them to come in for their IRES interview and their background.
And what happens if there's something in their history that is found the next day and they've already bonded out?
Then that would be entirely up to the judge.
Thank you.
Any other?
I just mentioned that as of my first meeting on November 25th, the number was 405, so we're down pretty significantly from that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other department heads? Any other department heads? Hearing none. Liaison reports. Start down there with Mr. Rosenbaum.
Well, NERC had their annual meeting this past Thursday. We're going to talk about the Park and Rec a little later on. And I've spoken with the prosecutors and also public defenders about the same criminal rule 26. We're all getting the same answer. We're working on our schedule. We're trying to make sure we can be there and cover it. And so it's still a learning process for them, and again, too early. Same thing as we're hearing through adult probation and in the process there. That's what I have to report for now.
Great. Mr. Quinn?
None at this time.
Mr. Santana?
Yeah, just got a couple things, I guess. Our surveyor, he's on the agenda tonight to spend. I've got the maintenance guy, Larry Lewandowski, here for replacement of an employee. I attended the EMA reorganizational meeting this last week. I will remain, I was president and Linda Simmons was vice president. We were both voted in again to be president and vice. EMS, I talked with Andrew McGuire, and we're not going to be buying any ambulances in 2020, which is good. But he does have some other ideas and items that he's going to bring forth to us and introduce for the betterment of, his department. Other than that, that's it.
Excuse me.
I've got several things. I know we didn't have a December meeting, but I'll go through them quickly as possible. On December 6th, I attended our county health department meeting, or not meeting, but open house for the water lab. And I think most of you probably been up there and took a look at it, and it's very, very much changed and for the better part. December 11th, I attended a county commissioners meeting. Also on that date, I attended a solid waste district board meeting, and on the same date, I also attended a rail construction planning committee meeting, and that was immediately followed by the redevelopment commission meeting. On December 16th, I attended our community correctional board meeting. And getting into 2020, January 8th, I attended the sheriff's merit board meeting. And also on that day, I attended the County Board of Commissioners reorganizational meeting. Also on January 8th, I attended another solid waste district board meeting. And on January 14th, I know Randy and I attended the Vibrant Communities of LaPorte County Steering Committee meeting, and very informative, and I think it was their second one. I didn't go to the first, and I know they're going to have more, so if you guys can get to that, it's worthwhile. And January 14th, I attended the LaPorte County Board of Health meeting. January 16th, I attended the Board of Directors meeting for the Fairgrounds Management and the Event Corporation, which is the FMEC. On January 22nd, attended the LaPorte County Agricultural Association Directors meeting, which of course is the original Fair Board meeting. And both meetings were very enlightening, so I recommend you get to them if possible. And on the speaking of the LaPorte County Agricultural, the old Fair Board, they passed a, I guess you would say, I don't know if it's a resolution or what, that evidently you had to, they wanted to be notified before you were allowed to come out there. I guess that would be for, I know that was for elected officials, but they changed that, so I'm sure it'd probably be a good idea to let one of them know you're going to attend, but you don't have to. You're welcome to the meeting. And
only if you're going to attend the meeting.
If you're going to attend the meeting,
okay,
right.
Okay.
Right. I'm sorry.
Not if you're going to the fairground.
Right, and I can't remember, well, if you're interested, I know I got the meeting dates. I can share that with you if you need that for the year. Let's see, January 27th, which was today, I attended a community correctional board meeting, and I know Randy mentioned already, Councilman Novak mentioned about some changes their population going up out there, but they're also working with Work One to begin some programs for training to try to take that the recidivism rate down lower. So there's 3 young ladies out there that are just beginning to work on those programs with Work One, and it's training, skill training is what it's going to be. So that's definitely a plus for out there, I think. So I think that, I think I might have, well, I just like to, I guess, mention Pioneer. I'll save that for the end of the meeting. Just I want to bring a couple little things up about some organizations.
All right.
Thank you.
I don't really have anything, but after all these years of us spending money for Alcohol TV and people that are at home relying on this, we are not broadcasting again tonight. I don't understand why. I can't figure it out why. We put plenty of money into this thing. We're streaming live, and that's all he can do is stream live. So it's a shame that some of the people that cannot see this on TV that want to do it that are either elderly and that type of thing. So I have 4 messages right now. We're not broadcasting.
Can I say something to that? Go ahead. Go ahead. Maybe not.
You want to go ahead? You want to add to that?
Yeah, I do, because I've had numerous conversations with Mike Dempsey, the director over there, and, he's been a personal friend for years and years, and I've brought, situations to him that I get reported to, Mark, and then again, I might be home watching some other meeting, and the quality, like you say, we do contribute, and all we're asking for is, look into some of these problems. Something better than what we're getting is totally necessary, and again, for the taxpayers, and we're paying some money.
They have a board meeting coming up. I'll make sure that they know about that.
Okay.
Terry, you have anything?
No, just basically, I did speak with Barb Mossman, basically over that personnel committee, trying to get that for Mitch Bishop and Larry, I guess it was, but I don't believe she didn't call me back, so we didn't get a meeting scheduled.
I think they're going to wait until you get back.
Right, I believe so. And then Lois Sosinski, the reporter, updated me a little bit about what was going on in her office, trying to fix the issues of what she's experienced over the last couple of years. So that's about it, Randy.
All right, thank you.
I got one thing. Terry.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Mike.
They took your chair away, but I'll make sure it comes back.
All right, that works.
We sold it. So I attended this, since the last meeting, I attended the Criminal Rule 26, the meeting that Mr. Irick mentioned. Community Corrections, the Rail and LaPorte County Redevelopment Commission meeting. The last one, we have another meeting Wednesday. It's our next meeting. The 911 Advisory Board met with the auditor and someone regarding time management, and that's something that we're in the process of working on a webinar to where we can bring something back so that everybody can kind of participate in that, and before we bring them in to talk to them more. And then the FMEC meeting. All right, we'll move on to ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance 2020-1, the salary ordinance. Madam Auditor.
Excuse me. This is a formality that we have to do this every year for the Board of Accounts and the DLGF. It's the salary ordinance that was adopted in November, and this is the final one. So it's just every year you have to do it.
Right. What'd she say? Is she going to read it by title only?
Sure.
Just no objections?
No objection.
An ordinance adopting County of LaPorte, Indiana, salary schedule and compensation policies. And it's ordinance number 2020-01.
What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve the ordinance.
You have a motion by Mr. Rosenbaum. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Molnauer. Is there a question, Mr. Santana?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask. I guess I did go through this, line by line. I didn't see any changes. I guess I'm asking you if there were, then maybe you would have highlighted something.
Right.
Otherwise, we're approving the same thing like you said. That's it, sir.
Is there any other questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is resolution number 2020-1, honoring Eagle Scout David.
Devin
President.
James Esmeyer.
All right, I'll
Mr. President,
say it again.
the resolution that was put in your packet is not the correct resolution. There's an edited resolution because the Boy Scouts of America changed their name to BSA Scout. And if you'd like, I can bring it up on my computer and get it printed out if you're going to read the resolution, or however you'd like to handle that.
But if you want to just read it off your,
I can.
read it. Is it okay if everybody, if we read it in its entirety?
It's not. Yeah. Would you like?
Lines.
Yeah, go ahead.
A resolution of the LaPorte County Council honoring Devin James Esmeyer on the successful completion of all requirements for Scouts BSA highest rank. Whereas the Boy Scouts of America was incorporated on February 8, 1910 and chartered by the United States Congress in 1916. And whereas the purpose of the Scouts BSA is to provide an educational program for young adults to build character, to change in the responsibilities of citizenship, and to develop self-esteem and personal fitness. And whereas on August 8th, 2019, Devin James Esmeyer, a member of Troop 338, Kingsford Heights, Indiana, in recognition of successful completion of all requirements, was awarded Scouting's highest rank of Eagle Scout. And whereas the LaPorte County, Indiana, feels great pride, honor, and success in the achievement of Eagle Scout Esmeyer and his hard work, self-sacrifice, and commitment to building character, honor, citizenship, and self-esteem in himself. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the LaPorte County Council of LaPorte County, Indiana, the administration and elected officials of the County of LaPorte, and the citizens of LaPorte County, Indiana, congratulate Eagle Scout Devin James Esmeyer on his prestigious accomplishment of Boy Scouts' highest rank. And this was introduced by Mr. Rosenbaum.
Yes. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Mr. Rosen?
I'd like to add a few comments.
Sure.
I happen to be fortunate to be a merit badge counselor, so I did the last merit badge with him that he needed for his rank. Got to know him pretty well. As an Eagle project, you have to do something for the community, and what he did was he built 2 food pantries that are outside. One of them is a mobile. The other one is outside Center Township Trustee's office, and it's for non-perishable foods. You put food in there, and anybody can come take it. And so it's constantly been rotating food. It's been an excellent thing that's been going on, and they're hoping to start putting them up. They're working with the schools to put the second one and rotate it around so that kids, if they need something, they might be there. There's other programs as well, but I thought that was extremely important. Also, on a personal level, Devin had lost his father at a young age. It was his grandfather that got him into scouting at a later age than 11, and so therefore he had a shorter period of time to complete this. And then his grandfather passed away before he saw this, him making this, so he did this in his honor. With that being said, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention. Is there a motion?
I'd like to make that motion for the resolution.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Rosenbaum, second by Mr. Santana. Is there any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations. What an outstanding young man.
He's at school in Terre Haute, so that's a good reason why he's not level yet.
Oh, good. Good. Well, thanks again. Moving on to new business. Consider retroactive approval for council president's authorization to hire replacement position for 2 new equipment operators in the highway department, Rolling Prairie Shop, LaPorte and Rolling Prairie Shop. Replace position for janitor in the maintenance department, replace IT position in the 911 center, and replace position in human resources assistant. What's your pleasure?
Require a motion to approve this action?
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Rosenbaum, second by Mr. Molnauer. Is there any questions on these? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Next item, number 2, establish county mileage rate for 2019 rate was 53.5 cents per mile. 2020 state rate, 38 cents a mile. 2020 IRS rate is 57.5 cents a mile. So what's your pleasure?
Question.
Yes, Mr. Molnar.
I think our present rate has been 53.5, right?
That's correct.
So I'll make a motion to keep it as the same.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
I'll add one comment. The IRS actually went from 58 to 57.5 cents. So they thought it was a reduction. I don't think we should reduce a thing. I totally agree with Stan.
Is there any other questions or comments? Setting the mileage rate at 53.5 cents per mile. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Consider a policy addressing public comments at LaPorte County Council meetings. I'm going to, you got it right there?
I do.
So we have this is very similar to the, what was adopted by the commissioners at one of their meetings. I think it was towards the end of last year. Do we, Madam, what?
How does it say?
It's just a rule of order. So
Do we need to read this whole thing out loud again? No? All right. So everybody's had a chance to read it, and we'll make sure that a copy of this is provided. But it is the almost identical, pretty much, except they changed the word commissioners to council.
Correct.
Is what the commissioners have. So it's just something that we're going to adopt also. So what's your pleasure at this time?
What was the changes on it?
Commissioner or
Board. Where it said board, it now says council.
Or with the commissioner, but they changed. Is there anything different than our regular meetings?
you can allow public comment after each thing if you want. What's determined?
Who determines that? We're going to complicate the meetings. Did somebody object to this or bring it up in the first place? Or is it a council member or what? Who brought this up?
This was brought up. We talked about this. This is something that the commissioners
Commissioner, but how did it become a
did.
council?
Mr. Yagowski, this was brought up, I brought this up because of issues that we've been having in the county when if folks come into this meeting and present for public comment, that we're able to limit it to 3 minutes.
We've always said that.
But there was nothing in writing and we've been having issues, so that was my recommendation.
I've never had an issue, but okay, go ahead, it's fine.
All right. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Motion by Mr. Moldenauer,
I'll second.
seconded by Mr. Rosenbaum. Is there any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Fairground Management Event Corporation. We need the approval of 2 appointments to that. We could have done it under, I kind of added it in the wrong spot.
Yeah, that's right.
But anyway, so Terry and I currently serve on that. And is it, Terry, your desire to stay on that?
If somebody else is willing to take the position, I would step down, but I'm fine with holding it yet.
All right.
I'll make a motion.
All right.
I'll make a motion to keep the same two people, which is Randy Novak, Councilman Novak, and Terry Gardner on both. You're on both. No, you're just on FMEC. I'm sorry.
That's the only
Terry's
thing.
on. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. All right, so we got a motion. Is there a
Second.
motion and a second? Is there any other people you'd like to nominate or suggest? Or hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Next item is permission to hire in the clerk's office. She had someone from Superior. You got to forgive me because we've got a lot of papers up here. Here it is. Clerk's office.
Superior Court.
Requesting to fill a vacancy in Superior 4 office. What's your pleasure? It's a
Questions?
Mr. Yagowski.
The last position that we filled, I believe it was about 7 months ago.
I think so.
You happen to know the last time you came up here, we filled the position of clerk, was that like 7 months ago?
You
Moved a
brought a
part-time to
gal
a
that was a
full-time.
part-time to full-time. And then one of my gals retired, and then she moved over to that desk.
Correct.
So, but at the time, when you hired her, you were filling in as my last full-timer. But,
Right, but
then Judy
that was
Keller
right.
retired after that, so she moved over to that desk.
We were still supposed to be -1 clerk.
We are.
Where are you -1 clerk at? There should be a full-time back to a part-time now. You should knock the full-time back to, that was only a temporary basis we gave you last time.
But
7 months
Judy
ago.
retired, so she moved over to that
So
full-time
your
position.
full-time position went part-time. Is your full-time position no part-time? We gave you the position ahead of time. You are +1 extra clerk. We gave that position to
Well,
you.
actually,
No, we've already argued that one out. I'm not going to debate that. But anyway, you had 1 extra clerk, so this is the position that should be filled right now. But we have the extra clerk.
no, the one that you're talking about is in Circuit Court Clerk's office.
I don't care how they move them around. That person could bid over and take that job. Then I guess we have an extra clerk.
No, because we're down 1 now in Circuit Court Clerk's office. You allowed me to hire somebody until I knew that Judy was going to be retiring within a year, so you allowed me, and I talked
To move a full part-time to a full-time.
Right, and then shortly thereafter,
She
Judy
retired.
retired.
So that was neutral.
Now the full-time should be back to part-time, and that's what we didn't get. That was just a temporary basis, and that was all it was.
And if you were looking at it that way, then I am due a part-time person because
You can have a part-time person all you want, but it's minus the full-time position. I agree.
no,
We need to go back to the way we had it before. We gave this extra person, and now we need to go back the way it was. If she wants to have a part-time, it's absolutely okay with me. But then this equals out to the full-time position.
When did she get the extra full-time person?
7 months ago, like I said, 7 months ago. I'm just guessing. Everybody seemed to be about that time.
it was September.
So
And we were supposed to reduce that person altogether. So there should have been back to a part-time person.
No, Judy was always a full-time person, and you let me hire another full-time person, and then Judy retired.
So that
then
full-time
I
becomes
shifted her over to that desk.
Now,
but we're right back where we were last year.
There should be still -1. That's the way
We are -1.
Mr. President?
Minus up.
yes,
I agree with Mark. I sit in on that meeting also. Mark is spot on that.
I beg to differ with you. I had
different too.
her as a full-time person, and then Stormy was my part-time. And she'd been there for 2 years.
I know.
I asked you if you could move her to a full-time, and I knew that Judy would retire. She did within 2 months. Well, she retired at the end of the year. So from September to sometime around Christmas, I had 2. Well, then Judy left, and I moved her into Judy's desk. So we're right back to the number of full-time people that we've always had.
Should have been -1. We only gave.
We are -1.
You should be -1 and get your part-time person back. So you can have this full-time.
This position has nothing to do with that. This is a
how they bid in your departments is fine with me, but I'm just saying that we should be -1 person as a clerk.
I think maybe we need to hold this over until we can get this worked out. Because
Are you asking for a part-time now or a full-time?
No, this is another person that left. So Friday, I got notice from a gal in Superior 4 clerk's office that she's leaving. Her last day is the 27th of this month. That leaves me, I have 5 full-timers over there. That leaves me down to 4. She's the traffic clerk. I don't have a traffic clerk. It's completely different from this office.
Mr. President, I agree. I'm a little confused, and I'd appreciate some more time to be able to dig into the facts here, and so I'd go along with tabling this.
we're gonna hold this over, and if we can get this worked out, we'll make sure everybody on the board knows, and if everybody's in agreement, we can always the president's always had the
approval.
authority to allow her to continue, but I will not do that until we get the consent of the board.
Might I ask, Madam Auditor, if you can give us shed any light on this as far as how the whole pay program has worked out? And I mean, can you shed any light on this?
I really can't. Because this came up today in an email that she had
Right, this
somebody
came up this
retiring.
morning, right.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So
I'm sorry.
It's not necessarily that you got to wait the entire month, but just give us some time to figure this out.
I can't hire anyone anyway until after her vacation is over, which is the 27th. I kind of wanted to post it in-house, give a little kind of, because it's a traffic clerk and I don't have anybody doing that job now.
Right.
I mean, after the 7th I won't. So
When did you say her vacation was over?
she gets 2 weeks, so
Right.
27th.
Oh, February?
No, this month.
Well, today's the 27th.
Oh, okay, February. February 7th, next Friday, is her last day.
Okay.
February 7th, and then 2 weeks out.
And
I think it's the 27th. I don't have a calendar on me, but
Okay.
so I cannot hire anybody until she's off the payroll at that
Which is
time.
about middle of February then, just a little bit. You said 2 weeks vacation after she...
Well, it would be the 27th would be her last payroll.
I have a silly question. Who manages it when she's on vacation?
They
About 2
have
weeks.
people that back up. Everybody
Okay.
over there has backup.
Okay, so we do have somebody to cover.
But everybody, I mean, the person that does small claim is backup for traffic, and the person that does traffic is backup for small
Got
claim.
it. Thank you very much.
So they're cross-trained.
Right.
Mr. Yagowski.
Ms. Correct, this is part of the scanning too. Is that part of the 30,000 you're asking for?
Permission to
Permission to
spend.
spend for next year?
That's the normal 30,000 I normally ask for every year. It has to do with mainly it does when we refurbish old record. We buy books, scanning. If there's any kind of shredding that we have to mass pay for, if we have mass shredding to go, we have a company come in. Or I know the county normally does it now, but just refurbishing of records. And we spent a little over 20,000, a little over more, about 25,000 this last year. I took old records from 1920, 1930, and 1940, and we put them in a new book.
It was we changed the agenda around. These were put as a dual in there, so I can make a motion this time to approve the $30,000 out of the clerk's perpetual fund.
There's motion. Is there a second?
Is that on the agenda?
It was
added.
with
It was added
the
just
permission
tonight.
to hire.
They were together.
It was on the agenda that was emailed to us. It came off the agenda
I put it back on.
and it got put back on the agenda tonight during the thing. So
I'll second Mark's
it's a permission
motion
to spend.
for the 30,000.
So we have a motion and a second on the question before I make a comment.
Yes, I'd like to comment.
Mr. Rosenbaum.
Back in November, you were asked to come to us in January and give us a plan on how you plan to take care of the documents, not just the $30,000 worth of documents. There are a lot more documents than that. So are you ready to even talk about that?
I told you back in November that we're scanning them as we go. I am not going to spend money to do it. We're putting them into Odyssey. We're scanning them in every clerk's office as we go.
We still have records in hallways that
And
was
most-
there before you came, and I thought after 3 years it might be cleaned up by
We
now.
are scanning them. I guess you don't really understand the time commitment in scanning. It's just not sitting in front of the scanner and putting them in like we used to do it. We go into the Odyssey program and you have to find the case. You find the entry and you scan that document into that entry. Somebody needs to be able to dissect that entry and scan that document into that entry. It's just not mass scanning like you're thinking. It's going into the system and scanning it.
You're not
in.
sure, you don't know what I'm thinking, so please don't tell me what I'm thinking, okay?
Well,
So I'm not thinking it is mass scanning. I understand what the Odyssey program is, and I would have understood it a lot earlier if we would have had a discussion back in July when I tried.
Well, Mr. Rosenbaum,
Mr. Santana, go ahead.
Ms. Krobeck, let me just ask you this, and this might bring, a better light to this. Can you tell this council, I guess, since you've been doing it for so many months, and what you see in front of you, a projection of like what you've done in the last few months, like he's saying, from November to date, and when we might get through all of these files? I don't know. I'm asking.
It's really hard to say. I went into the Superior 3 clerk's office across the hall because I've been working with the commissioners. We're going to be switching areas, and we need to get those files out of there. And probably looking at it, I would say a fifth of them are done. It's time consuming. Again, it's not like you just sit there and scan it. I have to train somebody in the Odyssey program to do it.
You're talking about the room, if you go up the stairs, it's on the right-hand side.
No, I'm talking, when you go up these stairs here, it's on the left. The right is our clerk's office, the left is the court.
Right.
We have records back in there, and we're trying to get them out of there and digitized.
Mr. Yagelski.
Let's go back. I believe you're right about this 30,000, but I believe the 30,000 should be that much more. I believe that we should have the firm or a firm of your choice. It doesn't matter if you didn't like the last one. They should be coming in and helping us out. We are not catching up with this. There's not a fifth less filing cabinets around here. Trust me, there's not, because we've ordered more filing cabinets, not because of you, because of all the stuff that we have up there. We are not addressing the situation. All we're doing is put a Band-Aid on this. This 30,000 is a Band-Aid. It's your belief, but we haven't seen the filing cabinets going away. When I start seeing cabinets being taken out of this courthouse, I'll be more happy to say that you're absolutely right. But I'm telling you right now, this is not even equivalent to what we should be doing right now. And putting a Band-Aid on the thing like this is nothing. We're bleeding more, and we're continuing bleeding more.
All due respect, Mr. Yagelski, I am the clerk.
I heard that.
I run the office.
Yep.
You are the county council people.
Sure.
You run the council.
Sure.
I don't tell you how to do your job, and I don't really think that you should be telling me how to do mine. I've been working with the commissioners. We are moving through.
Well, I beg to differ with you. The commissioners have told me themselves, who looked at this and seen the basements and seen the filing cabinet. I've talked to all the commissioners. They are appalled by what they've seen. So I tell you right now, the commissioners have told me. So anyways, I'm not willing to put I'm allowed to vote this way. I'm not willing to put a Band-Aid on this bleeding that we're doing right now. So
you
it's a shame.
really have nothing to say about that.
I do right now. I have a motion that's up there, so you're absolutely right. I can do whatever I want to do. You're absolutely right. And I don't believe that we're doing an adequate job. And until we start bleeding.
That isn't really your concern.
It's up to you. It is our concern.
It is our concern. It's occupying space that...
You don't have anything to do with the space. That's the commissioners.
We've talked to the commissioners. So here's the thing. Let's put it in perspective. We tried to give you your perpetuation fund is for records management, right? Mm-hmm. So we gave you permission to spend a lot more of that than the $30,000 to get caught up. And you threw a fit about it.
Because I'm not going to do anything other than scan it into Odyssey. You don't understand that Odyssey.
So why can't you hire somebody, get somebody else to come in?
Because you have to have a license through the Indiana state government to go into Odyssey. I have to sign them up, and they have to get a license to get in there.
So these documents from 1920 are going into Odyssey?
No.
But you told us we just got done with 1920, 30s, and 40s.
Those are the final documents, RJOs, records of judgments that are in the vault. That are the original orders of all the courts, and we are digitizing them to make them so you can read them. If you come in and try to read them, they are written with a pen back in the 20s, and you can't read them. That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
You're talking about files in a filing cabinet that go into the system under the cause number under the case.
So, what is your reluctancy to? When we say you have permission to hire more, I'm not going to do it.
I'm not going to pay somebody to come and scan onto a program like Bolt or something, because that program is no good. The court cannot see it. When we get a case that comes off a Bolt, and it comes back in the system for whatever reason, we have to print it all out because the judges are not hooked into the Bolt program.
There's no documents up there. I can remember a couple of years ago, if you go up the stairs on the right-hand side, the big room up there, it's full of nothing but file cabinets. at the time Mr. Pahacek was a commissioner, we went in there, he pulled one out. It was from like the early 70s. That has to be scanned into Odyssey.
They're scanning those into Odyssey as we speak. And I can't tell you exactly, but I would say in that room with all those filing cabinets, it's time consuming. I would say probably 20% to 30% are done, and we're getting ready to shred them.
So then we said you could spend more money if you needed more help to get that job done.
No, I'm not spending the money to scan into Odyssey. That's free. We are on the Odyssey program.
The people to do it. The people. I'm not.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You can
I don't have any terminals, and I have one terminal and three in one terminal in my office, which is that part-time desk.
I'm sure IT could probably set you up something to make it get it done. Right. I'm seeing a head nod, Mr.
I'm just telling you that when they log into Odyssey, they log into under my name. They cannot have a license into the Odyssey program. When they log in, when you get on there, it looks like they're me, because they're logging in under a license that the state has allowed us to have. So when they're scanning under my name.
There's got to be a way to make this work, Mr. Yagowski.
I know that. I don't care if you like Tyler Technology or not. That was the group that was there. That's the one I talked to. So Tyler Technology does work with Odyssey. So that was the company that we kept. Well, you said there weren't other firms that could do this. I know for a fact that.
No. Tyler Technology is Odyssey. That's what we're on.
No, that the group can do it, though.
And that's the one that gives us the license.
They can bring people in. Right. Look here. How about if I ask permission to have IT get involved in this, see if they can find a way to get an additional license or whatever we got to do, and we'll get
another terminal.
The whole
to get somebody up there to help.
I've got 2 terminals.
We'll make it 3, or we'll make it 4.
Trying to help you.
We're going to try to help you on this.
We're not trying to run your department. We're just trying to get
you. No, you are. Yes, you are. I wouldn't come in here and tell you how to run the council. I'm elected to this position. This is my job, and I can tell you, quite frankly, I think we've done a fine job up to this point. It's quite organized.
But you just
More
got to
than it has been.
But you just got to understand, you had the commissioners on your side. They are not on your side.
Yes, they are. I just met with them.
Just that one part of it, but not those filing cabinets in the basement, not the ones that are on the second floor. They are not part of this group, and they are not happy about it. I've met with the commissioners on it.
Well, so I guess I would have to say until they come to me and tell me that. No one has. I have talked with them on many times.
So here's the other thing. It's not just your department. This has been going on with other departments and bringing all the records up and bringing everything up because everything is sold.
Saying. I don't disagree with you.
So we're just trying to get it done. So
I don't disagree with
all we're
you.
Doing.
And if you look where we came from to where we are today, we've come a long ways. And remember, we are paperless. We are not making files. We haven't been making files since.
But we got a long ways to go to get the old files.
I know, but if you think about over the years as we made files as they came in, we were just contributing, and now we're going backwards.
I understand.
Motion and a second.
We have a motion and a second for the $30,000 permission to spend. What's your pleasure? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Nay. Nay.
Madam Auditor.
Mr. Mullenhour.
Aye.
Mr. Novak.
Nay.
Mr. Quinn.
Nay.
Mr. Rosenbaum.
Nay.
Mr. Santana.
Aye.
And Mr. Yagowski.
Nay.
Motion fails.
Well, you know what? I'm sorry, but if you're going to bully your way through this, I don't appreciate it. That's my job to do this, and now you just put a stop to it.
Thank you.
Can I make a comment, please?
You sure can.
I just haven't heard a plan to take care of this. Ms. Krobeck,
Please address the council if you're going to talk.
Ms. Krobeck,
we're elected also. Just remember that. So, right. No, we're not.
Yes, you are.
No. You're asking to spend money. Mr. Quinn, would you like to speak?
Yes, I just haven't heard a plan. We've asked for a plan. I haven't heard a plan. I haven't seen any numbers. I haven't seen what percentage is still left to be done, how much of the work that's left to be done has been completed in the past couple months since you were here last. I'd just like to see what's actually happening, not general statements about, we've made a lot of progress. I think as a council here, we're dealing with funds. We're trying to give you resources to do a job that we all think is necessary. And we haven't heard a plan. We haven't seen the numbers, and that's what we're asking for.
I don't know how you put a plan together. You have to come in and look at it and try to analyze it yourself, because it's hard to decide how to put a plan together when you look at the cabinets, half of them are scanned already. The one thing I will tell you, every file that we have scanned and ultimately shred is approved by the judge. Judge Alviso said he's fine with that. Judge Bergeson, Judge Friedman, Judge Stahlbrink. I have not heard from Judge Thorne. The files that are up here, he's going to give me his okay. If he does not want them shred, then we're not going to shred them. So I'm waiting for everybody to say it's okay to do that, because I'm elected to work with the courts, and I work with the courts, and I work, quite frankly, very well with the judges, and I'm not going to do something that they don't want me to. And he has not said yes or no yet. So that's where we're at.
Understand, we're trying to help you get this project done.
It doesn't seem like you are at all.
We are.
Because,
maybe it comes off.
You just put a $30,000. Stop on the $30,000. That's
we gave you $100 and some thousand dollars last year. The same money. Same money, and you stood up here and yelled at us.
No, because it was a $400,000
and now you're saying I want $30,000.
No, it's two different things. You're not even looking at it the same.
It's all records, man.
$420,000 to scan everything. Why should I pay for a company to come in and stand there and scan for $420,000 when I can do it for nothing?
You could pay people to do it as well.
$420,000 to come in. First, they wanted to take the files out, and they said, "You can't take those files out of this building." They wanted to sit there and scan all my files for $420,000.
That was a company, a suggestion that came from IT. That we didn't sit up here and go, "Here's the company we want you to use." We never told you had to use that company. We said, "Here's an estimate. Here's we approved the money for it."
And I came back and said I would rather scan it into Odyssey. So I think that's
it can go into Odyssey, but there's got to be some way for a company or somebody can come in.
Well,
you're saying
let me tell you this. I will call them tomorrow, but it's by license. They only allow so many.
Well, we can get more license. You got money in your account. Get the license, temporary.
No, it doesn't cost anything. It's an Odyssey license. It's through the state of Indiana.
So if it's free, what's the problem?
Because it's the licensing. When you allow somebody access to the system, you're allowed somebody to go into the system and start working through it.
Yeah. Terry, Mr. Santana, then I'll get to Terry.
Yeah, Kathy, I guess the thing is, you've made it perfectly clear that this is very time-consuming. Councilman Quinn just basically reiterated what I was saying. Can you just give us an idea and maybe an ideal time frame of how long it's going to take for what you have there?
I don't know how long it's going to take.
I know.
Because okay, so you have...
You know what I mean?
Some of the files in my office, the criminal, are this thick.
All right.
We hold on to them because they're incarcerated. They'll be back at some point.
So those we put off to the side. If we did this amount in the month of November or December, can we now project in the next 12 months how much we're going to do?
Well, I suppose I could give you some kind of an estimate, but I couldn't tell you. It'd take you an entire day to do this file.
Okay. And if there's 100 of those, it's going to take 100 days, right? That's what we're trying to just get something, rather than the fact it's time consuming.
The other thing that you have to understand is when somebody sits down at the computer and they're logged into Odyssey, it's not just throwing the papers at them and having them scan it in. You have to sit down and train them.
You've made that perfectly clear. You have made that perfectly clear. What this council is asking, give us an idea of under.
I don't think I have to give you an idea. I really don't feel like it's.
All right.
I don't.
Oh, no, then...
Terry, Mr. Gardner, hang on a second.
Then that's fine.
I can sit there and look at it.
Yes.
Terry.
Yes.
You want to talk?
Well, basically, she's kind of disrespecting us because, we've had a lot of years of experience, Mark and I. It's like we were on 18 years ago when we did reassessment and we took over from the trustees. That was a lot of confusion too, but we got through it over the years. She's acting like she doesn't want to even attempt to work with us, and that's wrong. We got to work together.
That's all we're just trying to give you
I'm
the
not
resources
disagreeing with
and the tools to get it done, to get people up so that that real estate's free up. You got to remember, here's my thing. So maybe my thing's a little bit simpler than yours. We're spending around $24 million in Michigan City to redo a courthouse. We're going to do this project next. We have rooms up there with nothing but file cabinets in them. Huge rooms with nothing but file cabinets in them. They can have people in there. Real estate costs a lot. That's the most expensive real estate we have. And we're housing old records that don't need to be there. So that's our urgent.
I disagree because you don't know if they don't need to be there because
I told you that Mr. Bahacek, a commissioner at the time, opened a file, pulled it out, and this thing was older than dirt that was in there. It was done. It was closed out. He goes, this stuff isn't even relevant. That's his comments at the time.
And probably most of those are scanned because we're doing that. And the other side is the filing cabinets on the other side, on the court side. That room is going to be occupied, and we're moving those out of there.
So where's the stack of file cabinets out there? Where's Larry? Where's one-arm Larry? There he is.
Those are...
How many file cabinets have you hauled out of this courthouse in the last 2 months since you've taken over? How many file cabinets have you taken out and threw away?
0.
All right, thanks.
How many came in?
None for me.
There's five new file cabinets that came in that they were on the outside of the hallway by the voter's registration area.
Those aren't ours.
Okay, wait, hey, Daryl came in, so we got to do something. We need a plan in progress. There's a state license. There's nothing required to do it. We can log people in. We log in people in. You have total access to do your controlling yourself if you want.
I know that, and I'm working on it.
Just not happy.
Well, I'm not happy either.
We'll talk more. Thank you. Old business. We took off the number one, the county engineer requested $210,000. Next item is the county council appointment to boards and members. Number one.
You'll take them one at a time?
Evening, Mr. Schultz.
I wanted to explain number one to you because it was kind of unique. Pam Keefe was your appointment. She took a full-time job with the St. Joe County Assessor's Office, and Rosemary wouldn't allow her to leave to come over to still sit on our PETA board. So everything kind of came towards the end of December. We lost our level 2 person on the board. The commissioners went ahead and they waived the level 2 position that we would have to have on the board, but the law allows you to waive it. So we kept that same person, but it left as they had lost their level 2. So what we were asking here, because Pam was basically our realtor from Michigan City, Long Beach, and we feel that as long as you're a realtor or appraiser, that type of knowledge goes a long way on the PETA board. So we're suggesting that the council waive the no county employee can sit on the board, but you can waive it, and that we have Randy Novak, because he's familiar with the Michigan City, Long Beach area sales, till, for this year, and hopefully we can get back on track next year with at least a level 2 or level 3 person.
So help me on this one. So when Mr. Bernacki was on it, he was not an employee.
Well, they've changed the rules kind of since then.
Wait a minute, who changed it?
Well, the state, the guidelines on who could, because you used to be able to have an employee. I could have an employee sit on the board from the assessor's office.
I agree. So how do we change the rule for the state? I can understand if this was.
No, you can waive it.
How can we waive?
Because not every. I should have brought the statute. Shaw had looked at it for the commissioners to waive the level 2 position. the statute allows you, because most counties can't fit into that statute.
Well, trust me, whenever they make these rules, they always do it without the consideration of it. But I'm just wondering how we did it for all those years, and now you said that
Because it wasn't, back then you could have an employee on the board.
you guys get together in Indianapolis. You guys haven't been able to succeed on it because you have a pretty powerful group down there. They said it was okay to pass this type of ordinance. Your group?
Our group isn't as powerful as you think.
Oh yes, I know they are. Trust me.
Oh, the assessors or the AIC?
Both the auditors, the assessors, everybody else too.
But no, they had put it in there, so I think what it really was for me not to put employees from my office on there, because
I'm assuming that there's a language. There's a part of the language I think that
But it doesn't specifically say county or an assessor employee. It just talks about a county employee.
Right. I'm okay with this, but it seemed to me like it was just written for you. You should not assign people. I don't know why it shows that we cannot appoint people, but and again, I'm surprised that you guys would have allowed it, without trying to fight it.
We may have fought it. I don't remember what it was, but
We're going to have to hold off on that because we're going to have to see. We have to do a little bit of research into the matter to give a definite opinion.
I'll forward him Brad Adamski's research. Pardon?
Is yours in the office up there or no?
You're going to forward me Mr. Adamski's research?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Can you bring it down?
What?
Can you bring it down from your office?
Can I bring what down?
Let me clarify.
Statute.
Yeah.
Let me clarify. Mike is right on the waiving of the level 2, which the commissioners did. The only other question I've got is whether there's an Article 2, Section 9 issue in the Constitution on whether PETA, BOA, and the County Council are both viewed as lucrative offices. So if it's on the lucrative office guide that the AG puts out, then we've got a problem. If not, we've got no problem.
How did we have somebody serving on it all those years and nobody ever?
Well, was he a councilman at that time? Then there may have been nothing in there that prohibited him under the Article 2, Section 9. So that's what we've got to check out. Maybe make your recommendation and approval subject to council checking that. As long as it's not on the lucrative office guide, you're good.
Yeah, can you find it?
For a couple minutes, let me take a look.
Let's go through the others.
But with Bob's our county person, basically.
Bob Bailey.
Bob Bailey. He's been on the board. He's
motion
kind of
for
our
Bob
head guy.
Bailey for PETA Bowl Board.
We have a motion for Mr. Bailey.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Santana.
Bob Bailey.
Anybody else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't go away, because we stay till the end of the meeting.
No, I got
it. Next item is the Alcohol Board. Mr. John Stimley would like to be reappointed to that. What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve the Alcohol Beverage Board. I want to make sure that everybody understands that's John Senior, not John Junior, who's an employee of Michigan City as a city county councilman.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Yagowski, seconded by Mr. Molnauer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Board of Trustees for the County Library. We have a
single position.
We have a single position.
We have two that are showing interest. Is that what I'm seeing?
Yes.
Because in our packet, I did see the Greg Fulenbrock. Okay.
And then the other one, TJ Hugh.
Egg.
Which one? Okay, so Haig.
Are they both here?
Was
Mr.
has
Haig,
been there.
Mr. Haig is the new one.
Mr. Fulenbrock is on.
He owns a right. Mr. Fulenbrock is on there.
Are any of them here tonight?
No, we got a letter from Mr. Haig.
When did you get
an email?
I didn't get anything from Mr. I don't know if you all got something from Mr. Fulenbrock, but
we did.
Okay, and did you get the letter from Mr. Haig in your packages?
Sure, we do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have it with me, but I did see it.
I move to appoint Mr. Fulenbrock to the board.
We have a motion by Mr. Quinn, a second by Mr. Rosenbaum to retain the current person that's on that board. What's your pleasure?
Second.
Well, we already got a motion and a second. I'm just talking to see if there's any. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. I do appreciate that second. LaPorte County Animal Control Advisory Commission, Dennis Carroll, Senior, would like to stay on that.
Here again, no other applicants?
No.
I make a motion to approve Dennis Carroll Sr. for the Animal Control Advisory Commission.
Second. Motion by Mr. Santana, second by Mr. Molnauer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Next item is LaPorte County Planning Commission. One, currently, Mr. Sean Quinn, Councilman Quinn sits on there. And we have no other.
Lucrative.
Is it lucrative?
Would you like this? His answer is yes. Yes. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Next item is the LaPorte County Solid Waste District. One appointment. Councilman Mike Molnauer currently serves on that. We have no other one interested. We have a motion?
Make a motion for him to stay on there.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. The liaison assignments, because of the election just happening tonight, we're going to address those at the February meeting. Okay. So whatever you got, keep until the next meeting. Then we're going to look at restructuring some of those.
Excuse me, Mr. President. We have one other appointment for February, and that is for the Regional Sewer Board. Mr. Gene Jonas is on there right now. I don't know the second person, but Mr. Jonas would like to be reappointed. So do I get permission to put that on? Well, can I put that on your February agenda, please?
Yes, put them both on
Okay.
February. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, appropriations, transfers, and requests. First item on the agenda is LaPorte County Surveyor requesting permission to spend from the Surveyor's Corner Perpetuation Fund not to exceed $85,000.
Thank you. We come to this every year asking for this. The legislature, through their county recorder's office, advanced the fees for the county surveyor. A little update. I talked to Joe Winsky today. Give you a little update of where we're at. Section corners were put in this county about 1830s, 1839. There's about 2,400 of them. We have been working diligently, like I know over the years. We are happy the other surveyors in the past have helped us. We have used technology to move forward. We have 473 left to try to get to out of the 2,400. I know it's a tall order for county surveyor. I think there's only one other county in the state that has done it. If we could get through our 473 in the next 4 or 5 years, not saying they're going to be done, but we can get to them to make sure. There's some that haven't been touched since 1839. So we have been working hard. We have been trying to use this money like the legislature has. I fear that at some point in time they'll say, you guys got a lot of money. They might pull it back. So we are spending this and using every resource, private resource, to get to these corners. I don't think a surveyor's done it yet since they first put in, and that's why we're asking for this. We did reduce the cost from last year because the 473 we've got left, the last 250 are probably going to be the hardest we've ever seen because they haven't been touched since almost the state was started. So this is our request for $85,000. We do lots of different things that kind of broke down everything we use it for, and we partner with the GIS and the software. We pay for that, and we use our own CAD systems. We pay for that. And we are working very diligently. I would really hope that we could finish this off. I'd like to see at least get to every single corner in my career. So we're asking for $85,000 out of the Section Corner Perpetuation Fund. It gets in about $6,000 to $7,200 a month, and we try to be as conservative as we can with that fund. We don't usually spend it all, but we would need to be available. So when we get surveyors that have section corners in their private files that are not released, which is most of the corners, we need a way to drag those out of their files.
What's the council's pleasure? My thing is The 85,000, I know you've explained this before, but you're probably the only department that comes up here and gets a clear blanket first of the year to spend for the entire year. So that's my issue, is putting, maybe doing half of it now and half of it second half of the year.
Well, that's fine with us. You'd like to have when we come back in July. We have no problem.
What's
42.5 then is what you're going to say?
Whatever.
Motion to accept the $42,500. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
We'd be happy to come back.
Appropriations.
Tell you where we're at in the middle of the year.
Second.
Cool.
We have a motion by Mr. Molnauer, seconded by Mr. Yagowski. Is there any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
Can I ask you this, Tony, real quick? Have you found a replacement for your assistant, I guess?
Our deputy is Sherry Wright, and she has experience in the engineering world, and we're training her. She's working very well, because to get that transition is pretty intense in the program we're working in with the section corners. We have really raised the bar very high. Okay. And I was hoping I'd get somebody as valuable as her, because we're going to work in the next few years to get to the last 250, which I told you haven't been touched since the first surveyor came through this county. And that's going to take a lot of hands-on with me and a lot of digging through files, and we're trying to do it. I mean, you guys like to see programs with an end result. I'd like to see an end result too. I'd like to at least get to everyone, because if we get these in the surveyor's hands, publicly and privately, we could probably save some money for constituents when they're doing surveys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. Yep.
Next item is LaPorte County Park Department requesting permission to spend from the Parks Non-Reverting Fund 2052 donation for improvements and equipment at Creek Ridge, and donation for water fountain and exercise station, totaling one is $50,587.50, and the other one is $11,430. What's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion to approve the spending of $62,000. It's basically money that didn't get spent last year, and the $11,000 is I believe from the Healthcare Foundation. So it just allows him to complete the projects that couldn't get done. He's not here; couldn't be here this
We
evening.
have a motion by Mr. Rosenbaum.
Second
by Mr. Quinn. Discussion.
I was just going to say, I watched the commissioners' meeting. I saw his presentation to them. It was pretty, impressive, I guess, so to speak. And I see no reason with denying this, so I'm in favor of it.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
Question, Jeremy's not here, I take it.
No.
But I just wanted to make a comment on, maybe you've seen where Jeremy is redeveloping the bike trails, and just want to, I guess, give him a kudos for that.
They're doing a good job.
It's when they need to make things a lot safer for anybody, for us and residents and tourists. So it's a good job.
Yep. Next item on the agenda is LaPorte County Highway Department requesting permission to spend from CEDIT.
The CEDIT fund?
It's not an or.
From the lit CEDIT one. Okay.
All right. Yeah. For the purchase and replacement of a truck, the amount of $147,230.
Yes. Good
Must
evening.
be a big truck.
Yes, this is actually to replace that one was involved in the accident at the beginning of the year. That dollar amount is what's left after the insurance contribution that they gave us back for the truck that they totaled. So that we're just requesting to spend within our own seated money to replace that truck, so we get one on the road as soon as possible.
Sounds good. What's your pleasure?
Make a motion to. Okay. Did you want to make it because of Jordan?
No, you're good. Go ahead, man.
I'll make a motion to allow them to spend the $147,230 out of the lit or city Senate's Fund 1112.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Rosenbaum, second by Mr. Santana.
question.
On the question, Mr. Quinn.
You said you'd like to get this truck out on the road as soon as possible. If approved, when would that be?
We could get the ball in motion already first thing in the morning. That truck is actually right now it's in Rolling Prairie at the Pyramid Trucking. It's ready to go. So, short of bringing it to our facility and make sure, licensed and insured and everything and get it out there. So we should be able to do that within a couple of days.
Thanks.
That's great. Thank you.
Question: what size the truck is? This is going to be a plow truck, I presume.
Yes, it's a tandem axle truck, so substantially bigger than our single axles. But this is replaced the exact same truck that we lost. So
okay.
Is the old truck still sitting there?
The old truck is still at our facility. We actually bought that truck back from insurance for a very good price, and that way we can use it for parts. We have other trucks that are identical to that, so there are some things that we can salvage off of it to help save some money on that end of it.
Thank you. Bring that to our attention.
Thank you.
Mr. Yagowski.
Real quick, not to the truck issue while you're still up here.
Sure.
How are we doing as far as, so I know salt has been one of our toughest ones this year. Are we okay as far as inventory?
Actually, our salt inventory is doing very good at this time. We still have been, even some of these minor little things we've been having, we do actually been putting quite a bit down. But as of this point right now, we're substantially good.
Good.
So, yes, it's a good thing.
Sounds good. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Next item on the agenda is LaPorte County Sheriff Department request an additional appropriation from riverboat or wind tax for half of the 2020 pension contribution in the amount of $664,091. Good evening.
Good evening. The $664,091 is half of our contribution for the year. I assume that you all received your packet of information last week. Our contribution this year is $1,328,183. And as a reminder, that's $56,000 more than what our contribution was last year, but I think we spelled it out in the packet of information that we had provided you.
You did.
Yeah. Motion to approve out of Riverboat.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Yagowski, second by Mr. Rosenbaum, out of Riverboat.
Can I add to that second and be in support of that also, please?
You can take the second. That's fine.
He gave up a second. He gave a second.
You got a second.
About a third. I want to take his motion. No.
If I jumped ahead.
No, you're okay, my friend.
Is there any other, we have a motion and a second. Is there any other comments? Mr. Molnar.
I just want to make a point of interest. Do you have the figures on how much, because I think everybody knows the process servers bring some of that money in year round. Do you have an amount on that, Andy?
It's your question how much we contributed last year?
Yeah, well, last year yes.
The amount that we contributed last year was $115,434. $115,434.
Well, that's down quite a bit.
It is.
Isn't it?
All the process services have been down the past couple of years. We're aware of it.
And the fee went up, though.
It did. There's e-filing as well. That is sort of partial cause for the reduction in the fees that we're collecting as well. Okay. We are aware of that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
I have to abstain.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Your pension, man.
Next item on the agenda is the Fair Management and Event Corporation, FMEC, coming for their stipend of $125,000 out of riverboat or wind tax.
I have discussion when we're ready for it, but
we have a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to take it out of wind tax.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Molnar. On the question, Mr. Rosenbaum.
Okay, in the past we've given money and I don't know what the accountability or the accounting for it has been. Now that we have this new FMEC, is there oversight now in what is getting done? Because I still haven't seen a whole plan or, I know I'm not directly involved, but it would be nice. I did get to visit the grounds on more than one occasion. I did get to go around and get a good explanation of what was happening, but I just didn't see an overall plan how we were moving the grounds forward. And I just wanted to know what the oversight is. And I do know that we now have Larry Lewandowski our building maintenance overseeing the process, but is he also overseeing these funds?
The FMAC is overseeing the funds. This year, as of January 1st, we're taking over management of the grounds. So, and with bringing Larry out there, and we've had several meetings. Larry and I met with the fair board. Larry attended the last FMEC that Mr. Molnauer was at. So the county's going to take over all of the maintenance and everything that's out there that's not pertaining to the fair and different things like that. The fair board is still going to be doing some things that they're chipping on some things. But yes, there's accountability, and we'll give you a report on where all the other
this is for what what Larry is expected to be doing, or what?
Correct.
Yeah, okay, so I got clarity. What I needed for clarity.
Right.
So what we just explained is that because the county is taking over the maintenance of the county fairgrounds, that this money is going to be used for the maintenance of the county fairgrounds. That's what I just heard.
Correct.
I that's just want to make it clear. Thank you.
In many different fashions. Mr. Yagowski.
I got a chance to talk to Jeff about this. I didn't get a chance to talk to some of the other councilmen, but a special events coordinator was talked about. Is that still on the works, or what's going on with that?
We're hoping to get somebody on board in February at our February meeting.
So when we had special meetings on this, there was some word out that I talked to some of the people that all the councilmen were on agreement. I have a problem with a special events coordinator, but I have a problem with being a county employee. It's just like we do with economic development. It should be just put up, and there's some word up. I'm just saying that. So I just want to make sure that we're talking the same thing. If you have a person that wants a job bad enough, wants to get the money to get his percentage off of it, hopefully we're not talking. Hopefully there is no talk about that.
Well,
being a county employee.
There's no talk about it being a county employee.
All right.
Just so you're right. Mm-hmm. As of right now, to say they get their percentage off of it, there's no percentage now to get off of. So, I mean, we're going to have to bring the person on and build it up and do things. But it's completely with the understanding that this person would not be a county employee.
Okay.
Be contractual.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any idea of what this person's salary would be? And secondly, is this $125,000 going towards that salary?
Some of it could go towards it, but it obviously we're trying to generate other revenues, and we're now revenue sharing with the fair board. So all the rentals out there, everything in there, we get a percentage of all that money, and they're going to, if I'm not mistaken, they're going to cut us a check every month on those. So we're going to have income coming in from that. We're hoping that this person's eventually, their salary is going to be generated from the funds that are there and not come out of anything with the county. Okay. And I heard a number that you heard, because I heard it from another council person that said this high number, and
that was ridiculously high.
No, I don't want to throw out hard numbers, but
because I know when we haven't
even talked
when we've given the $125,000 last year, and I think we gave them $250 the year before, didn't we? Twice, $125 twice, and I think all of us want to see everything, and there has been improvements being made out there, good improvements, but I think we all want to see that infrastructure progress, continue to progress. Where it bothers me a little bit I know you have to have somebody to bring these events in, but I think we have to be cautious and make a priority on the infrastructure.
Right.
And I know the FMEC gets $21,000 for land rental, and I think there's another 20. Like there's 26 right now. So if they're going to hire somebody. Is it part-time or is it going to be?
We haven't finalized that yet.
Okay.
Mr. President?
Yes, Mr.
Yeah, we have to build up the infrastructure. We have to have a model, basically, so they can sell it. Yeah. And Mike's spot on. We're all on the same page. We want to finish the infrastructure, get it where we can bring the proper the events in there and not have to worry about it. Randy and I have been on board with this, the same as what you guys are discussing. We don't want to undersell this fairgrounds. We know it's got a lot of potential. We just have to get it there.
Mr. Yagowski.
Agreed. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, were you done?
No, yes, I'm done. Okay. Well, doing it, when we had talked about this years back, this hasn't been the first time it's been a conversation. We had talked about people, because Lake County, for example, does have a person that's hired, a special events coordinator. How are the other counties that are in our surrounding area doing with that?
Porter County.
Yes.
Basically, we had Porter County in here, and they pretty much went over the different ways of how the commissioners were just, and the council were giving them money in the first few years to get it established. They built those buildings over there, so they had something to market, where we're not there yet. And that's, so it's like they're not 100% we're self-sustaining, but they're close after what, 30 years?
I think the last I heard when we met with them over there, their annual budget's about $500,000, and they're $80,000 short of that. So their council's still throwing in $80,000 on top of that. But they're also doing a bond issue. I think they're doing a $5 million renovation on their event building over there. So they're
the expo.
The expo. So. Yeah.
But, the other thing is, it's like tourism. I mean, that's really what we're trying to draw into this facility is tourism. And we haven't tapped into the people on the tourism board. But I think that's in the future of trying to get both the county and the tourism board more involved in this endeavor out there.
Okay.
Yeah. Great. So, thank you, Terry. Is there any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. LaPorte County Commissioners request an additional appropriation on riverboat wind tax or general fund for the additional compensation that we talked to at our last meeting for the facilities director.
I'd make a motion that we take that $5,000 out of the general fund.
They have a motion by Mr. Santana.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Quinn and Mr. Molnar. So, is there any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. LaPorte County Assessor permission to hire replacement position for shared employee with the auditor's office. Good evening.
Good evening.
Could you state your name?
Mike Schultz.
It's in the paperwork.
I was basically waiting for the auditor to decide when she wanted this person for me to fund. The person does stay in the auditor's office, but it can be used by both offices.
The person does or Mike does?
Well, the person's probably there more than I am.
This person will take Rob Neary's place, who moved up to the community corrections.
But it's going to be cross-trained?
Yes. And in our office, she will be helping us with our gap reporting on our annual report.
You know what it is already?
Do I know who it is? Mm-hmm. She's a part-time person that is going to go to full-time.
All right. What's your pleasure?
But I pay for it. I'll probably I'll probably pay for it out of reassessment. She's probably out of the general fund now, but we can move her to the reassessment fund if need be.
Motion to approve it out of the reassessment fund.
Second. Motion by Mr. Yagowski, second by Mr. Quinn. Any questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
I don't know if your attorney's ready to give an opinion on our first go around.
I am not.
Okay.
And the reason why is because it's not specifically set out in the Attorney General's guidebook, so it's going to take a little more research. If you all want to approve it, subject to my formal opinion, that would work contingent. But I would not want you to lose your job, Mr. Novak. So let's
make it subject to your approval, yes or no.
Correct.
Right. So, so was that a motion?
I'll make a motion that it be subject to the attorney's definition of
Peter Boa.
For the Peter Boa.
Peter Boa.
For Randy Novak to be in the position.
Right.
I'll second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And
Auditor.
Next item on the agenda is LaPorte County Auditor requests an additional appropriation from Riverboat Wind Tax for the GAP contract with Baker Tilly. It's GAAP. And what does that stand for?
I knew you were going to ask me. It's General Accepted Accounting Principles. This is every county in the state of Indiana over 100,000 population has to now report their annual report in this format. And we started working on this back in October, and the commissioners recently signed a contract with Baker Tilly to help us with this. It is probably not for Mr. Rosenbaum, but for us, it's a daunting task.
It'd be daunting for me as well. Thank you.
Yeah, it is very, very time consuming, and so that's why we've asked Mr. Schultz to share an employee with us when she's not doing this. Hopefully, we'll be finished by June, but when she's not doing this, she'll be down helping him also. The amount of the contract is $153,000, but there are a couple of other components that we need to finish this report. If we don't report in this format by June 30th, then we lose the ability to finance, right, any debt, excuse me, which would mean our courthouse project, except that we're hoping that that's to come back to you with that probably sometime in March, and then we hope to start that in June. And I'll keep you up to date on that. But I'm asking that you approve an amount not to exceed $175,000 out of Riverboat for this task.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Rosenbaum. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Quinn. Mr. Yagowski.
So the original amount you said was
153, and I think that that probably will still be. I'm hoping that'll still be the same amount.
Okay, so is this 153 every year after that now?
No.
Just a one-time?
No, this is the first year. It's 153,000, and then it drops down.
To
I sent you the contract, right?
Yeah, I have the contract.
Yeah.
I think that I don't recall exactly that, but it is a significant reduction,
right?
Because you are creating new templates in the very first year when you have to put this into play. So you're taking a paragraph of explanation of a footnote, making it a page and a half, and so of each footnote, and under the requirement. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
thank you for that explanation.
Yeah, it goes from 153 to 10. Is that 10,000 next year?
I don't think it's 10,000, but it's
significant.
Yeah.
So how do we set ourselves again that we just got the rule change and everything like this when they mandate this stuff? And I know you guys, your group, I'm going to mention the same as I did with other ones. Where's it coming from, Joey? I mean, how Miss Winsky?
The
state's going to continue to do this stuff to us, or what?
Yeah. Yes, and believe me, we're not happy, and I don't think any of the auditors are really happy about this, because there are very few of us who are CPAs. I probably can count them on one hand. And to ask us to do a CPA's audit on our annual budget for the year, I really think it's ludicrous. And I don't think it's fair that the state tells you that unless you do it this way, you cannot finance any debt.
Well, somebody was smart enough to put that in there, because otherwise people would have said we're not doing it. Trust me.
Yeah.
It's probably these people.
Yeah, I agree with you. I
can only give you some theory about why it's happening. and that the federal government creates these standards with the accounting groups, and the federal government likes to push stuff down and say, okay, you figure out how you're going to pay for it, and then the state does the same thing, and so it's just that rolling of trying to get the additional requirements.
Does anybody else have any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you. The next request that I have is permission to spend from the Dual Homestead Fund. Oh, I'm sorry.
You mind if I'll run the meeting? Thanks. All right. You want to just finish it out?
I was on a roll.
We'll just
You know, you give it the chair for 2 minutes, and then what happens?
I know. Don't
Maybe
do
she
it.
wants to pull it because maybe you want to pull it because it's a bad night to ask for cabinets.
Next item on the agenda is request permission to spend from dual homestead funds 7110 for file cabinets and shredders for payroll. That's kind of an oxymoron, isn't it? Shredder and the file cabinet. So what do you?
Okay. Payroll, our payroll papers, dockets are one of the only pieces of paper that we absolutely have to keep forever.
Is this going to take long?
Yes.
This explanation.
About 5 more minutes and then. And anyway, so we have one cabinet that's broken that we need to replace, and they all have to lock.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion for $3,000.
I wasn't done yet.
Not to exceed.
Not to exceed.
That's fine.
I'll second that. I have a motion and a second.
All in favor?
All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, thank you.
I request 5 more minutes.
I just want to add that
these are not going forward, right?
I just want to add that we've got some kids here. What school are you from? South Central. You're all from South Central?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you can come up after you're done.
Sign your
get
paperwork if you
signed,
brought
so
some.
we just want to acknowledge you're here. Is there any council comments?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenbaum.
There's a couple of things I didn't mention at the beginning. The prosecutors, when we finally have them here, we're going to see that they have conducted more prosecutions this past year than they had in the prior years. My biggest thing was I spent a lot of time with NDOT. We're going to hear more about it next month, but primarily the council's responsibility is to see if they want to fund a right-hand lane turn off Cougar Road going on to Route 20, where they're planning to put a light. There's some other things that are going on with it, which we'll talk about at the next session. With that being said, thank you. Happy New Year.
Thank you. And before we continue on, Madam Auditor, can you make sure you schedule a half-hour workshop for that Cougar Road prior to the next meeting?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Quinn, you have anything? Nothing, thank you. Mr. Santana?
No, thanks.
Mr. Gardner?
Well, I think Mark had mentioned to me that maybe in the future we create an ordinance so any of the council members that do wish to participate the same way as I've done could vote on certain things. That's the only thing I would like to see brought up.
All right, we'll have to look into that. Mr. Muldaur?
Yes. Just 3 quick things. I'd just like to shout out a big thank you to 3 organizations here in LaPorte County, and it was during the month of December. Pioneerland with their open house out there December 7th and the 8th. I think that was, I know, well attended as is always every year, but they do a tremendous job. The PEP organization, they always have that Christmas candlelight tour. I know Mike's wife is basically in charge of that, and they do a tremendous job. And also, we don't want to forget about the JC's Deserving Children Christmas, where they do the shopping for the kids. And not only do the members and the volunteers and that, a big thank you to them, but also the people that attend this and promote it. So
the LaPorte County Board of Realtors does the same thing in Michigan City.
Okay.
So it's great.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Yeah, I know we voted tonight about how much gas for the amount of gas mileage that we get per employee that uses it. But remember, we have these cars, and we were very specific on the usage of those cars. And I know that there's been cars that have been people that have taken cars home that have been gone for a week on vacation, where that car can be used as a carpool. I know some people haven't used carpools. I suggest that we utilize that more instead of using that out of there. My last statement I'll make is that in memory of Bill Haggard, I tell you what, you can ask Terry about this. There's some contentious meetings we've had with the commissioners, with Bill Haggard and Marlo Harmon, and those two are up there right now, I think upstairs now talking about us right now. But those are two great men to work with, and I'm really going to miss Bill Haggard and the service that he supplied us for the county.
I agree. Bill was a big asset.
Yep, definitely. And just so you know, the auditor did give me a printout of all the mileage that was paid out to anyone in the county, because I think halfway through the year we requested that if a pool car is available, we're not going to pay mileage. But that doesn't apply to some things, obviously, not to everybody. But I forwarded it to some people, and I'm in the process of.
How's it working out, Joey? I guess did you see less, or okay? I can see this. Okay, so how are we going to actually police this? And I mean, when they turn it in, and it's like, wait a second, there was a pool car there. We're not going to pay it. I mean, how can this council?
That's a good question. I think maybe we all have to think about that and come up with a plan. Yeah.
15 minutes for commissioners to talk about it.
Right. We'll add that to the next 15 minutes onto that.
Because it goes to them first, and then they give you the thing to cut the check, right?
Right.
I mean, not invoice, but
right. The purchase order.
That's what I'm thinking. Peel. Yep.
Yeah.
And maybe since Mr. Friedman's here for the commissioners, an idea. We're not even sure how many pool cars, and I've asked, and they're not sure how many we even have now. So I know Commissioner Merzinski has one, but that's at his house while he's out of town. So nobody's using that one. Anything else, Mr. Attorney, Madam Auditor?
No.
Motion to adjourn.
Well, you asked me so.
Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right.